Parents of Reddit, what's something that your kid has done that you pretended to be angry about but secretly impressed or amused you? My daughter got in trouble in kindergarten for selling pencils to other kids. She was charging kids a quarter. The school charged 50 cents. I was pretty impressed. My 3-year-old dragged a chair from the lounge to the kitchen and climbed up to help herself to an ice cream from the freezer. I caught her in the act and was prepared to be angry until I realized that before getting herself one, she had taken 2 out for her little brother and sister, unwrapped them and sent them out to the balcony to eat so they wouldn't make a mess. I decided she deserved the ice cream. I blocked YouTube on the iPad. I was a little worried my kid might see some stuff on YouTube not intended for a 5-year-old. My 5-year-old found a workaround by starting up Angry Birds, clicking on the Angry Birds cartoons, then browsing to his favorite YouTuber using the voice search function. I have to say, that's brighter than most adults I've seen. He dealt with bypassing password protection and his own inability to write using the speech function. That's amazing. Dang, I probably wouldn't have thought of that. Smart kid you got. My 9-year-old son called me into his room because he had a monster in his closet. I tell him he's too old for that kind of thing and to go back to sleep. He pleads with me to check. I open the door and turn on the light. Staring back at me is some scruffy looking thing with angry eyes and I scream. It was a mirror. I'm trying to see if I'm having a heart attack and he's laughing his troll butt off. I'm proud of his cleverness but considered if he were too old to be left on someone's doorstep. Maybe he's not a troll. He's just struggling with existential problems. Maybe we really are monsters. Okay, so not my kid but my significantly younger sibling. When she was a young toddler, the family was out to dinner and she accidentally dropped her fork on the ground. As a reflex that she undoubtedly picked up from my mom, she shouted out crap clearly. The entire restaurant heard her. My mom was mortified and immediately tried to repair the situation. No, baby, that's not what we say. What do we say? She responded. I assume hoping for an or an oops or maybe even a sorry, but my sister took a moment to think this one through. She dug down deep into her recollection of what mommy would say in that situation, and responded with a clear and resounding frick. My brother-in-law was lecturing his daughter about something and he was in an intense angry rant. She interrupted him in his yelling to ask daddy, can you lift a bear? Situation immediately diffused. That kid's a genius. One night my wife and I were having a discussion with our 10-year-old daughter about the importance of homework, education and her future. The subject came up because she was busted lying about her grades. I asked, don't you want to grow up and be successful like me? Her response was, Mom doesn't do anything and she's got it pretty good. My daughter accidentally said crap. It was just a combo of 2 words that smushed together to create this curse. I told her it was okay. I was there and I knew the context. She got so upset with herself. She punished herself by sending herself to bed. None of my assurances made her feel okay about what she had done. When I was little I used to love rhyming words, so I decided to say muck luck buck frick. As soon as I said it, apparently I put my hands up to my mouth and started bawling. Middle kid, 8, Muam. DAAAD, youngest, tipped his water on my lunch. Youngest, 5, IT was an accident. Middle kid, was not. Youngest, IT was so. IT was an accident. I didn't mean IT. Eldest, 10. Chipping in for the first time, how could it possibly have been an accident? You tipped your drink over her lunch while saying I now declare this sandwich officially wet. So hard to yell at him without laughing. I had to give up and let my wife do it. When my daughter learned cursive in 2nd grade, she forged my name on a test paper. I made her write an apology to the teacher. The kick was she got 100 on the test. I had a good laugh. One time my little brother said frick, and my mum gave him the speech about how we aren't supposed to use those words because they hurt some people, and made the parenting joke about having to wash his mouth out with soap. Fast forward 15 minutes and my mum finds him in the bathroom, silently sobbing as he puts tiny amounts of soap in his mouth and brushes it with his toothbrush. My mum has never been scarily threatening and she broke down in tears that my little brother had taken her words so seriously. On the plus side, my brother has never sworn again. My son beat up a bully that was picking on him. No, I don't condone physical contact, but the bully swung first, and my son, who is younger, whipped his butt. I went to Walmart with my boys and some guy nearly backed over us in the parking lot. It was bad. Stepson was looking elsewhere and my hands were full with the baby, so I basically smashed him in the chest with the diaper bag to stop his forward movement. As he's recovering his balance and realizing what happened, the guy is just staring at us like we materialized out of nowhere, and Stepson plants his feet and flips him the double bird, completely calm, confident, full eye contact, and he held it up there for a good 3 seconds. The kiddo is normally kind of shy with adults. It was like seeing a glimpse of the man he is going to become. I have twins. The boy is a perfectly normal kid. The girl is developmentally delayed due to autism. She doesn't really know how to communicate. For example, if he wakes up first, he just yells at us to let him out of their room. If she wakes up first, she just sits quietly until someone comes in. Well, on their 3rd birthday, they got a lot of sweet toys. The toys were in the living room so that it wasn't a distraction at bedtime. The following morning, she woke up and wanted to play with her new dolls, but she didn't know how to get our attention to open the door. But she knows her brother can get the door open. So she grabs a Nerf hammer, Thor's from the Avengers. She then just starts beating her brother in the head with it until his cries sent me running into the room. As soon as I open the door, she drops the hammer and runs past me, laughing, straight to her new toys. Sociopathic maybe, but dang clever. Keep an eye on her. Pretty smart at problem solving so far. Not me, but something my brother did in 6th grade. My parents found out that he was selling nicotine-free vape pens to people at his school, basically just flavored ones. In order to do this, he would use his money to buy prepaid credit cards from a local Walmart, buy them online under a fake name, and then have it shipped to our house where he would pick it up before anyone saw it. I think he made like $200 off of it. My parents were a mix of angry and impressed. Future drug dealer, super successful drug dealer, or stock market. Let's go with stocks because it is a kid after all. Dude is going places. My son was 2 years old when he got his first pair of eyeglasses. At first he resisted wearing them until he realized he could see properly for the first time in his life. A few days into wearing his glasses, I brought home a 5-pound bag of individually wrapped chocolates that I was planning on taking to the office in a few days. He had gone upstairs to his toy room and he was being way too quiet for too long. I went up there and he was surrounded by wrappers, covered in chocolate. Half the bag was gone, and he was so proud of himself. Mommy, I not need help to open them. So I not had to ask. It was the first time he had been able to see where to pull to open the wrappers. I was so happy that he could finally see that I couldn't be angry. I had to tell him that he still needed to ask permission to take the candy, even if he didn't need help opening it anymore. The punishment was his bellyache. Kid's lactose intolerant. Knowing the miracle of getting glasses for the first time, this is freaking adorable. I can totally imagine how proud he was. In 6th grade, my daughter was friends with a boy who had a lot of feminine characteristics. My daughter initially got to know him because the rule in their school was that they had to remain at the table they sat at on the first day. This boy had no friends and had been sitting at the end of their table. Gradually, the girls got to know him and he was taken into their group. While many were accepting of him wearing pink clothes and nail polish, some were not. One day, I got a call from the disciplinary superintendent at the school. He said, "Mrs. Potatoisafruit, I want to preface what I'm going to say by telling you that I am obligated to call about any situation where physical violence is involved." My heart sank, but that I am by no means encouraging you to punish your daughter. He went on to tell me that one of the boys known for bullying this particular young man had pushed him down a small flight of stairs at the school. My daughter was so angry that she ran up to the bully and kicked him as hard as she could in the shin. She did have to apologize to the boy she kicked. We did talk about never lashing out physically, no matter how angry we were, but I was so proud of her for defending her friend. She did have to apologize to the boy she kicked. Okay, today we're going to learn about the non-apology apology. Crap, I remembered the worst. My daughter loves to compliment people. About a month ago we were in the mall with my other kids. I was in line getting food for everyone when my daughter ran up to me and yelled, "Daddy, I love your willy." It was both horrifying and hilarious, though I'm surprised I didn't get arrested. While holding my then 3-year-old daughter at the checkout at the grocery store, she poked me in the boob with her finger and cheerfully said, "You have great boobies, mama." Oh, thanks kiddo. My 2.5-year-old climbed over a chain link fence to go in the neighbor's yard to get a ball. I was once play wrestling with my nephew and once the 3-year-old had me pinned, it turned to name calling. Such a stupid face and dumb head. Then my sister chimes in and says don't call names. Then this boy looks at me and says names. Literally, he just called me names. The punk. My youngest brother wasn't allowed to use insults with face or head included, since he was quite a name caller. He started calling people facehead afterwards. I got an Xbox One on the weekend and after finally setting it up I sat down to play and my 1-year-old toddled over and stood up and promptly switched it off and then came over and held up a book. Okay. Message received. We'll read a book. My daughter, 15, just took up boxing. Actual boxing, not boxercise, for fun. On Sunday, when we were playing around sparring in the backyard, she caught me with a right hook that was hard enough to make me see stars for a couple minutes. I'm a 110 kilogram guy, ex-heavyweight, was so impressed and full of love I was speechless. I think my silence was interpreted as rage, because she got very apologetic. Also she does special effects makeup that is gross enough to make people feel queasy. My daughter is pretty awesome. My 5-year-old roommate yelled at his mother, "I'm so mad I'm going to poop in your pants." I am not a parent, but this is 100% answering the question. When my husband was in 2nd grade, he wrote a poem. The teacher found it, confiscated it, sent it home. His parents had to sit down with him and tell him this was unacceptable language for school. When they tell the story now, they said it was the hardest thing to keep a straight face. They still have the poem saved. When I was young I had no sense. I took a whiz on an electric fence. It hurt so bad it stung my balls. I took a dump in my overalls. My 8-year-old girl was being bullied by 2 boys at her school, so she took them both down, put one in a chokehold, briefly, and the other kid ran. Surprise B. She's been doing Brazilian Jiu-jitsu since she was 5. Anyway, she came home and told me she took both boys out. When I looked at her in astonishment, she said, "Don't worry though, I did it on the grass and not the concrete." I was amused and hella impressed. A year later and she is now best friends with one of the boys. He now has a new fetish. Not my kid, but me in my younger days. When I was younger, my family and I used to watch a show called Chewin' the Fat, a Scottish sketch show. This was when I was around 3 or 4 and it was the day after a new episode had just come out, so I was eager to use one of my favorite lines on the show from the previous night. Well, it was coming up for nap time and the nursery teachers were telling everyone to put away their toys and tidy up. I didn't want to tidy up. The teachers, however, did not like this and told me that if I didn't help I would have my favorite toy, a transforming Greyman, taken away from me for the day. I was taken aback by such a brutal, unforgiving threat and saw my opportunity to use my favorite line. "Frick off, you Nazi cow." Parents were called in. Mother was not pleased. My dad, however, had to leave the room when she told him because he couldn't hold in the laughter. He bought me a toy Metal Gear. Reading that in a Scottish accent only made it better. Oh god, the stories I could tell about my niece. When she was 3 or 4, she was visiting my parents and dad took her for a drive. Some douche cut him off in traffic, so he yells cocksucker out the window. About a block ahead, still behind the guy, he's almost through the intersection when he hears the back window roll down. A few seconds later and my niece sticks her fist out the window, starts shaking it at the car ahead and screams cocksucker as loud as she can. Classy dad. I had a parent-teacher conference in kindergarten because a girl taught me how to French kiss in the treehouse and we got caught. I think my dad was pretty proud. I'm surprised they still let you teach, to be honest. Kids cussing is hilarious. Clearly you can't laugh or they will never stop. You really can't be angry either because honestly, that will make them want to do it, too. My 3-year-old saying oh crap when he dropped something almost put me in my grave. Ignoring it was dang near impossible. When I was young I couldn't pronounce the CK, it came out more of a G noise. One time I was with my dad and screamed "ah fug" from the back seat. My dad had to pull over because he was laughing too hard. Picked up 3 Lego bricks with his bum cheeks. Butt cheeks in the US. Look mummy, I'm a digger. Legend. When my daughter was 6, a boy in school was bullying her. He was confronting her one day, in front of his buddies, and said, "I bet you don't have the nerve to kick me in the nuts." She did. We got a call from the school. My ex and I had to stifle laughter while making to the principal. We exploded once we were outside, then had to rein it in once we met up with our daughter. The kid who was bullying her left her alone after that. My son will scowl at me instead of doing what I told him to do. He thinks it's a scary face. It's more of an annoyed pout, and it's adorable, but he can't know that. Put a hole in the wall of my room. Repaired it by painting the backside of some photo paper and gluing it to the wall. My dad was fairly upset when he found it about 2 years later, but later admitted that my McJava repair job was impressive. When I was maybe 4 or 5 my parents got a better fish. I named it Shimmer and a year or so later it died, so we got another one. I wanted to name him Shimmer too, but my parents told me that's bad because you don't name things after things that died. I proceeded to inform them that they'd named me after my dead great grandmother. They let me name the fish Shimmer. I was playing a video game and my 3-year-old son climbed up on the back of the couch and farted into my ear. My toddler does this all the time. I'll be scolding him for throwing things on the floor or not eating his dinner or something, and then he'll start smirking and strutting and acting all cute, trying to charm his way out of eating his dinner. I keep a straight face, and as soon as his back is turned, I giggle into my hand. This happens with everyone. That's why we don't kill them. One my parents relayed to me from when I was 2. I used to open the front door and run outside, so my dad installed a hook about 6 feet high. First time I tried to open the door and the hook stopped me, I stood there for a few minutes and stared at it. I then calmly walked to the kitchen, grabbed the broom, and poked that hook right out and bolted. My parents both watched the entire thing go down and still laugh about it. Kindergarten teacher wanted a word with us because our son had called a wasp a dirty sucker. Turns out she wasn't as impressed with his proper usage as I was. In his defense, wasps are dirty suckers. Last night while at a restaurant, she loudly sang a song she made up about her vag. I'm not sure of all the words, but it was based off of the "Do you want to build a snowman" song from Frozen. Do you wanna see my vag? You have been visited by the ingenious Joe. Comment brain so you always see the glass half full. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.